Troy, Texas, first time caller. What's up, Troy?
Hey, how you doing this morning?
Doing good.
All right. You wanted to talk about birthright citizenship. That's great and that's cool and everything. But what about your Native American? What about your people that were here before there was even a United States? What about a society, a group of people that had things their way before the colonization and everything? Do you not think they should have birthright citizenship? There's still talk that they're not even legal citizens. What?
Hold on one second. The 14th Amendment, which gave birthright citizenship, originally it did not include Native Americans. And I've talked about that incessantly, how horrible that was, that originally Native Americans were not included. But then Native Americans were included. They became citizens in 1924 through a law called the Indian Citizenship Act. But in the beginning, that portion of the 14th Amendment did not apply to Native Americans. But it applies to them now. So, yeah, obviously, Native Americans should have it, and they do have it if you're born in this country. If you are born in this country now, you are considered a citizen. So what's your comment? I'm confused.
Why withhold rights from them in 1920? Wow, that was so long ago too.
And do you know why they didn't want to include Native Americans?
No, sir, I don't, and I would be glad to be educated.
Take a wild guess. Why do you think they didn't want to include them?
Well, because they would revert everything back to their ancestors.
It's this whole thing called white supremacy. So yeah. And then they had to fight to change that, and it's a reminder that equal protection under the law didn't truly mean everyone yet. And with the 15th Amendment, women didn't get the right to vote. And then even after black men get the right to vote, it's basically taken away from them during Reconstruction. And black folks don't get the full right to vote until 1965. Anything else, Troy?
No, that's I'm glad that you educated me. I'm not up to date on all this stuff, and frankly, a lot of people aren't. They just have their opinions, and they think their opinions are correct when they really don't have all the full information.
Oh, it's okay. But Troy, let me ask you a question, though. We're dialoguing. It's okay. Did you think that Native Americans weren't considered citizens now? Did you think that?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
No, sir, I did
because
not.
You called in, it appeared that you thought Native Americans weren't considered citizens. Maybe I misunderstood you, but that's what it appeared. So I wanted to know if you thought that. It's okay if you did. We can, I can do more of a little bit of background on it. But that's what it appeared. You thought they weren't citizens, but maybe I heard you wrong.
Well, no, sir, and maybe I apologize if you did, because no, sir, maybe I presented it wrong, but no, sir, I believe they were citizens. I don't even, as far as I know, have any native blood in me. I was told all my life from family and everything that we did, well, ancestry DNA says, no, you don't. So yeah. I don't know, but I believe, yes, sir, and I appreciate your I guess I'll just say compassion, but no, sir, I believe that they were citizens before. We should honor every treaty. We should have never had any treaties. Everything should be given back to them as before we never even got here. I believe that because I say we as colonizers or whatever we're called, we, like you say, fucked up everything. I don't mean just dented it. I mean fucked up.
I'm just curious to know, since we're talking, who'd you vote for in 2024?
Sir, I am a convicted felon, and in the state of Texas, I cannot legally vote ever, which is also fucked up.
Wow.
So, yeah, so...
when you say colonizer, are you a white dude? You a white brother?
Yes, sir, I am. But, I mean,
gotcha.
Yes, sir. And that was just
I was
my way
curious
of saying...
because you said colonizer. I was just curious. Yeah. And so, Troy, if you could have voted, who would you have voted for?
in 24, honestly, I would have voted for Donald Trump because I believe he's done a lot of stuff that they voted him in to do.
So everything you just said about colonizers, the 14th Amendment, as he tried to rewrite the 14th Amendment via an executive order, everything you just brought up, birthright citizenship, Native Americans, you mean it's, and you're a convicted felon, and mind you, it is the party of Republicans that don't want convicted felons to vote, because in some other states in this country, you can vote if you're a convicted felon. So that's under the Republican Party. After everything you just said, you still would have voted for Donald Trump.
Texas is a little bit harder on their convicted felons. Yeah. Texas
Yeah, and that's a
up.
Republican-controlled state legislature, Republican governor, and so on. But all that being said, you still would have voted for Donald Trump, all those things you laid out.
Well, like I said, I'm not as educated as I should be about things, and I mean educated is not book knowledge or shit like that. I mean just general knowledge. But I don't believe that the reason I would have voted for Trump is because they had a puppet in office, Joe Biden, that was obviously out of his freaking mind when he says, I'm not going to back out unless God himself. Well, evidently he talked to God because within 2 weeks.
Troy, I don't know where you're getting this from. I would tell you that under Joe Biden, the unemployment rate went to record low numbers. Under Joe Biden, we had this thing called the infrastructure bill that has helped many, many parts of Texas. Under Joe Biden, we had this thing called the American Rescue Plan that helped to save unions. So I would tell you, under Donald Trump, who others might think is a puppet, he destroyed our economy. We lost record number of manufacturing jobs. We had this disaster thing called COVID where he told people to inject bleach. But all that being said, you called in talking about Native Americans and birthright citizenship, and you used the language colonizer. Yet you're still saying, you see, this is part of the problem, Troy. You're still saying you would vote for Donald Trump. Do you think Donald Trump is a racist?
No, sir, I don't.
Why don't you think he's a racist?
Well, I would ask you why you think he is.
Gotcha. Let's go for it. The racist birther movement against President Barack Obama, saying that Obama wasn't born in this country, that was obviously and clearly racist for him to say that. Talking about birthright citizenship, they called that birtherism. The attacks on the Central Park Five, who filed a defamation lawsuit against him, saying that 5 black children should be killed, should be executed in 1989, and even as recently as the debate in 2024, saying lies about them and again facing a defamation lawsuit. The uplifting of Confederate monuments. You should know the Confederates hated Native Americans. Restoring Confederate imagery, like at West Point, putting up a photo of Robert E. Lee with the enslaved person behind him in that portrait. That's pretty damn racist. Blaming a plane crash on quote-unquote DEI, trying to fire the one and only black woman on the Federal Reserve Board, targeting people like Letitia James or LaMonica McIver. I mean, I can go on and on. His rhetoric alone, saying that black people can relate to him because he had a mugshot. People who worked with him said that he used the N-word. They said that he actually used the N-word. Not renting to tenants because they were black. I mean, he had discrimination lawsuits against him, even back to the 1970s, saying that a Mexican judge could not do his job because he's Mexican. And you, as a convicted felon, even though he is one too, he wouldn't be on your side, Troy. He doesn't even want you to vote when he can be president. See, the more I ask you, the more you reveal, Troy. It's so unfortunate. And you called in talking about the treatment of Native Americans. Look into the land and environmental rollbacks he did it to Native Americans communities. The Bears Ears National Monument in Utah, he cut its size by 85%. The pipelines, he fast-tracked the Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipeline despite Native American opposition due to environmental and treaty violations. He's literally violated treaties against Native Americans.
You have brought up a lot of good points, and like I said, you've enlightened me and educated me a lot, and I appreciate you on that because I don't want to seem uneducated, I guess I'll say. But you mentioned this is just one thing that I stuck out in my mind. You mentioned that Donald Trump used the N-word. In today's society, who is allowed to use the N-word? I mean, it shouldn't be said. That's true. I don't like saying it, and I don't like people that say it. But then who's allowed to say it?
Are you complaining that why does it feel like that white people shouldn't use the N-word but black people can use the N-word? Or is that the argument you're going down?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Gotcha. So let's just use our brain cells for a minute. The reason why white people shouldn't use the N-word is because they're white. Plain and simple. In LGBT circles, I know gay folks who use terms that are considered gay slurs. They use it within their community. So it's in group and out group. I know Italians that use language around Italians that are slurs. But when they say it within the community, it's different than someone who isn't Italian. The Irish. I know women who call each other bitches, but they don't want to hear a man call somebody a bitch. So if your justification is that Donald Trump uses the N-word and so does a random rapper, that's horrible. He's a grown-ass 79-year-old man who used that word allegedly, and that right there is the worst argument. The worst argument to justify him using the N-word. Troy, I've given you a lot of time. I hope you've learned something in this moment. I truly do. Final comment, Troy.
You have, sir. I told you have educated me, and I have told you thank you very much. But to tell me that I can't do something because of my race, is that not racism?
You can do whatever you want to do because of your race. That does not mean that you're still not a racist. It just makes no sense at all. My God. I don't think you want to make sense, actually.